Good afternoon, Sports Insanity Network fans. It's the sixth man up here, right now, live. Say, go, New York, go, New York, go. When we last left you, Danny Boy and myself, we were sitting 10 and 6, and we had just beaten the Nets. Dan, do you remember that last week?
Yes, I do.
And how were you feeling after that win against the Nets?
I mean, it's the Nets. No, they're
It's the
not very
Nets,
good.
exactly.
Though I will say the Nets actually have been playing much better of late, so maybe I do kind of feel better about it. Because it's not the weak teams that they're saying. But I don't know.
But when last we left you, the Knicks were in second. Where are we right now, Danny boy?
Well, Knicks, and thank goodness for this. Right now they're 13-6, first place in the Atlantic Division, if anyone actually cares about that. I know what people do
We
care
care.
about. They're second in the Eastern Conference, you know.
Yeah. This is the Knicks team. We said 2 years ago they were going to be better last year. They were better last year and they just came short. This is it.
Yeah.
I have it down in my gut. This is it. So the Knicks had three games during this last stretch. The first off was against the Charlotte Hornets, in which they won 129 to 101. Game highs, as per usual, the normals. You got Jalen Brunson who put up 33. Excuse me, put up 33. And Josh Hart with also a game high of 22 for him, which is very impressive. As Josh Hart has been playing at a higher level lately. Rebounds again led by Karl Anthony Towns, and assists led by Josh Hart. But again, damn, one thing about this win before we get into it, something the Knicks are doing this year a lot more than they did last year. They're passing the ball,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
every starter had a minimum of 3 assists. Mind you, it was the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, we're not. This wasn't the Chicago Bulls they did this against. This
Yeah.
wasn't whatever. It was the Charlotte Hornets. But the Knicks are turning it up. Even on the weak teams, they're not sitting back and playing careful.
Yeah, and you want the Knicks to beat up these bad teams and stuff. Obviously, don't get me wrong, of course we want to also win against some of the best teams, and we have. We have over this 10-game stretch where they've won seven, or they've gone 7-3. So, uh, yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, no, no, no. I want to prove myself and beat the good teams, but be bullies too, and beat the bad
Yeah.
teams.
To me, I always loved the Knicks team. I know you were not there yet, but the Knicks teams of the 80s never held back. They were always scoring. It was just always high score. It didn't matter if you were low end or high end. You got Knicks number one team no matter what you played. Big key notes to pull out of this game. Everybody contributed yet again. And this is something we've already talked about. But the average starter, minimum 32 minutes in this game. That took a lot of pressure off the bench. Mitchell Robinson did something that we've wanted him to do all year, not take a shot.
But
Five defensive rebound, one foul, one assist, three steals, and a block. I
yeah,
don't care if the man doesn't shoot. Those are the numbers we need from Mitchell Robinson to give when we're giving whoever we're mixing around at center a break. What do you
yeah,
think on that, Dan?
Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, whatever they're gonna put him in. Yeah, I think the bench production has been pretty solid. I mean, again they didn't need it with this game in particular because Brunson did all the heavy lifting and all the starters did the heavy lifting. They didn't have to really try. But yeah, man, like it is good to see more bench production. Mitchell Robinson looking very good out there. I know he takes a couple games off and then goes back for a couple games. He's been doing that type of thing. So it's good to see him move around very well. Like I said, 5 rebounds. Not a factor in point production, but still, just giving them a chance on the offense to make something happen is key. It's huge.
And having Mitchell Robinson out of the point factor is not a consequence.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm right or wrong on that one? Sorry, I should have let it with that.
Uh, no, I think you're spot on there.
Okay. As we all talked about, and Dan and I spoke about, Mitchell Robinson is not the most reliable guy to shoot the ball, and it's
But
still one of the
but when
guys.
he's on the floor though, like let's be real, he's a gamer. So it's not someone to
Oh, I'm
just
not saying he
brush
takes a
aside.
step back, but him not shooting is not the worst thing. It's especially with the granny shot free throws.
Right.
Knicks defense played very well. I again against a team that only had 4 wins at this point, giving up 101 points. I don't like to see, but keeping it pretty much curtailed. Brandon Miller with game highs, along with Miles Bridges at 17 and 18 points, respectively. So this was a pussycat win for the Knicks, but we all know the same rules. Not every night the ball's going to bounce the same way as we want it.
Yeah, I mean,
Moving, yeah,
I'm not really worried about the point total because everyone scores 100 points in the NBA nowadays. It is way more of an offensive league than it is defensive. So if they give up 100 points, so be it. All I care about is winning the game, and it's still a blowout. 28 points, like that's a sizable win.
so the Knicks improved by one on that game, and then next a conference rivalry that still gets my stomach churning every time it comes to the court. The Milwaukee Bucks, the Knicks went. The Knicks face the Milwaukee Bucks. I like
There you
couldn't get it
go.
out of my lips here. There we go. The Knicks face the Milwaukee Bucks, winning 118 to 109 against a healthy Bucks team, and that's where I want to go with this. Is the Knicks did not win this game by 1 point, 2 points. They won it by a clean nine. And if you look at the game high of the Milwaukee Bucks, it's not to anybody's surprise. It was Giannis. Yeah, I still can't do it. Akatakapenko. Um, I still butchered this guy's name.
Antetokounmpo.
Thank you. With as he had 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. There is no stopping him. I don't think there's any player in basketball that can evenly match up with him. What do you think, Dan?
Well, Giannis he's a tremendous player. They Bucks really missed him. I'll tell you that much. Um, but yeah, man, no, look, Giannis is always going to be a big factor. The big thing though is how do you stop the other players from getting big time points? Miles Turner was a non-factor. He played 30 minutes, and AJ Green non-factor. He had 18 points. He was okay. You know, You got Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench, 28 points with 20 points in 28 minutes, excuse me. So he was okay, but besides him and Giannis, it was that everyone was a no-show.
Right,
Meanwhile, the Knicks
and
are up and down the lineup, except for Cat, they're all in double digits. They're all contributing. You know, Brunson could have missed in this game. Like it was just it's a nice victory. It was a close win, obviously. Again, when you're facing a team like the Bucks, I know the Bucks record, keeps it doesn't say much about what the team really is because their starters have been injured all season. So, but the Knicks beat a good team. And that's something that
as
you
Dan
can't
point,
just brush away. And also, I mean, I don't know if it matters to you, but I think they won the NBA Cup group. with
Yes,
this win. So
and which is always nice.
yeah.
I understand why we have the NBA Cup so LeBron James can stop crying every few minutes, but um, Dan pointed out one specific thing. It was Karl Anthony Towns was not shooting in this game, and whether it was he just wasn't feeling it, but he literally started 1 for 6, and after that he became more defensive than he was working
Yeah.
offensively.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I'm gonna say I give him a lot of credit for that.
Instead of taking odd shots and wicked shots and stuff that doesn't make sense, he turned to more the defensive end and started passing the ball a little bit. I mean, 4 assists for Cat is good. I mean, that's a good number, but obviously game high led by Jalen Brunson with 37, followed by Josh Hart, who again, Josh Hart and Miles McBride both tied for 19. The Knicks, again, yes, are getting their prime two players, Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. They're making their stats, whether it's on the rebound board or the point board or whatever. But again, this Knicks team is all filling in. This time, not everybody got into the game. This game was pretty much even at the half. Um, Even though Milwaukee started out a little hotter than the Knicks, but the Knicks came back and then taking 5-point victories in each of the next 2 quarters helped secure this victory for the Knicks, moving them yet again up the rankings. And Dan, a tough team, seeing Milwaukee at this point was at 8-12. Seeing them at that low, mind you, you pointed out that Giannis was out, um, and that hurt him a little bit because it takes your number one point scorer off the floor. Does this show that Milwaukee is truly only about Giannis, and if he's not there, then forget it?
Well, I mean, I don't. I, it's unfortunately looking that way. I think the Bucks are better on paper than a lot of people think. But yeah, I mean, you take away Giannis, it's like a one-trick pony. Like it's one dimensional. It's tough.
Something the Knicks did very well this game. They were 85% from the free throw line. A lot less misses, thank God. It's good to see not only Brunson getting to the line, but Josh Hart getting to the line because as he is always money from there.
Yeah.
And Cat has been doing well at the line as well this season. The Knicks picked up that win beautifully and then had their sights locked in for their next matchup, which was against the Toronto Raptors. Not a name that I would normally feel fear, but the Toronto Raptors are not a weak team as they are number 2 in this division. So this was
Yeah.
basically a square off early in the season in which the Knicks took it 116-94, and I was very surprised about this outcome. Game high this time from Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson followed behind at 20 and 18. And this was a game again in which the entire team got in on the ball. And something the Knicks team did with this Toronto Raptor team, Dan, it was held everyone below 20 points. Not one
Yeah.
Toronto player reached above 20.
And this is a very good Raptors team. And they held them under 100 points. And then, of course, like you said, no more than 19. That was by Emmanuel Quickly, our
A
our
former guard.
legend, former beautiful legend of ours, Mr. Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah, the Knicks did very well in this game. Everyone was shooting the ball well. Obviously, a great game from Cat. Like I said, Cat likes to take games off in the shooting department. Whether it's hey, look, I'm shooting poorly, and then he makes it up on the defensive end, and vice versa. It's tough to watch Cat sometimes on the offensive end. Him being consistent. That's the only knock on him is that he's very inconsistent with that stuff. But he did have a good game against the Raptors. It was good to see that. Um, Yeah, again, another solid all-around victory. Big first quarter. That was a
Yeah,
key, that
41 in the first quarter by the Knicks.
yeah. And look, the Raptors stayed pace for a little while, but ultimately, what it came down to was that the Knicks made the big time hoops, and you know, look, if you're not going to have explosive point production out of your out of anyone from that team from Toronto, then the Knicks are going to take advantage. They were great defensively, and it was a valiant effort by the Raptors. Again, I have no issues with them. They're a great team, but Knicks were better that night. And the Knicks, with that win, they go to 10-1 at home. So
Yeah. I can't remember the last time the Garden was rocking like this during the regular season.
yes,
During the playoffs, we've seen it the last 2 years, but during the regular season, the Garden takes time to warm up to the Knicks. Oh man, they're packed and going crazy. Again, a big output from Mitchell Robinson, 17 minutes and 15 rebounds, seven of them being offensive rebounds.
yeah,
This combination of Cat, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson is cleaning up all the garbage from the boards and is securing something the Knicks have had very little of the last couple of, and that's second chance points. And that's where the Knicks are starting to be back. Also, a big game out of Jordan Clarkson. I know it doesn't look like it with 21 minutes and only 5 from 13 from the field, but 21 minutes and 13 points, it's gonna come down. I mean, for team wise, it's either gonna be him or Hart for the sixth man of the year when it boils down towards the end. Right now, Hart has been starting, so I mean, you keep rolling the hot hand as it goes. Um, so now the Knicks sit at the top of the conference, but they don't have a 10-game lead here. They only have a 1-game lead.
yeah. It's not sizable. Look, I mean, shout out to the Detroit Pistons, who are the true big time number one seed in the conference. Um, and like you said, in that division, Toronto's what, a game behind. So
Yes.
it's close. It's close. And part of it's because the Knicks, they don't want to win on the road, which is annoying. Um, but you take what you can get. Knicks have 13 wins. And they're competing well. They're like I said, they've won four in a row, seven of their last 10. And right now you're seeing a lot of good production, and credit where credit is due. I said this was going to be a tough season for Mike Brown because of the expectations that were going to be uh, on him, and he's answered so far with a very solid start to the season. First 19 games.
So the Knicks are sitting very nicely, and we're very happy about that, of course.
Yeah.
But there is some other news that we have to talk about. We can't always just talk 40 minutes. Well, actually, Dan and I could talk 10 hours next. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Um, some news coming around the league. And actually, this is actually a big one coming out of Phoenix. Devin Booker left last night's game with a groin injury. And if anybody knows and has watched Devin Booker this season, he has been probably the best he's been his entire career this season.
Yes. Yeah.
And for a
Yeah.
Suns team that's been cooking, to lose him now is harsh.
Yeah. Phoenix has been relying on him all year, like literally, because he's played literally every game so far this year.
Eh.
So it's a tough one to swallow if you're Phoenix losing Devin Booker. It's a right groin, that's what they're saying. Um and apparently it was just when he went chest to chest with Jackson Hayes. So
And if
I
anybody knows, a groin issue in any sport is painful, but especially when you have to jump.
yeah,
So,
yeah. 4 for 7 shooting on the night. At
I
11
mean,
points.
yeah,
But
the man manages to score one way or in the other.
you know,
Um,
Yeah.
With Steph Curry being down, the Warriors turned to a different Curry, and not the Spice, but the other Curry
Yeah.
is now a Houston Warrior. Jesus, is a Golden State Warrior.
There you
Now we
go.
got two Currys on the team. Is this just trying to keep the Curry name in each game now, Dan? Is that what they're trying to do?
Well, I mean, they gotta do something. Look, it was kind of weird how it all went down because Seth Curry was going to be on this team. Obviously during camp, he was on the roster. He had to get cut because of salary cap reasons. Then of course, they were able to maneuver whatever, get him to sign in November, and now he's on the team for the rest of the year. Yeah, no Steph, but you get Seth. I mean, he's a good shooter. He's a very good shooter, and they're very excited to have him. So I guess that keeps the fans somewhat happy, keeps the Warriors somewhat happy. You know,
And maybe he'll distract a couple players thinking he's the other Curry, and they'll
Mhm.
come
Yeah,
out
it wouldn't be far off. I mean,
he's a good outside shooter. I mean, I'm not
yeah.
going to take that away from him. And then a topic that I've been on for a while and for years, and Dan has heard me talk about it, and it's always been my opinion. And Dan has great opinions when it comes to basketball. And what my question is today, and our turning our tip off, it should be our tip off, but this is more or less our OT question of the day. Is LeBron James now just embarrassing himself remaining in the league?
No, he just wants to play. He has nothing else to prove, so if he retires now, it's he's still going to go to Hall of Fame, still going to be regarded as arguably the greatest to ever play the game, um, and stuff. So it's not more of embarrassment. He just wants to play ball. I give him a lot of credit for wanting to continue playing. He hasn't. He's played okay. Like he's at the point of his career where he's obviously not the best player in the league, probably not the best player on his team, and still at somewhat of a high level. Still, his IQ is still there. Like you can tell, he's very smart on the floor. Um, yeah, it's not embarrassing. It's not the greatest, but it's not embarrassing. Um, and like I said, if he wants to continue playing, fine. He doesn't have to anymore. Like sometimes I just think that for him, you know, if you know there's nothing else to prove and you got what you wanted, which was to play with your son, like what are you trying to do? Like, you already
Okay.
broke the record for the amount of years of service time, right?
Now, the signing of Bronny Jr. It's been a lot of speculation and whatnot. But can we finally call it what it is as a bust? As he has never shown, I mean, except in the G League a couple of times, has never really shown why he belongs on an NBA caliber team.
I'm not expecting much from him anymore either. Like he was even going into his USC year, like he was iffy. Like he should have just retired when he had the cardiac arrest.
And I give the kid credit, for overcoming a very difficult issue to be able to play in a high powered and big league sport with this condition. But I think Dan hit it on the head. I truly think that he has nothing to gain after the abysmal showing in the first couple of years. Um, and we'll see what ends up happening. But do you ever think LeBron will sorry, not hoist a NBA championship trophy ever again?
It's possible if the Lakers go on a massive run, the number two in the West at 15-5. So it's not impossible so far. They've largely without him too. So maybe he piggybacks.
Okay. I mean, look, before I get to my final part on this, I mean, we've seen players who have been injured for three-quarters of the season and then come back in and play and get a ring. I mean, it happens, it's still part of the team, and you played 30% of the season. So I mean, then during my time, it was Michael Jordan. Okay. During your time, it's been LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. Of the three, who is your number one? Who's your number two? Who's your number three? And of those three, I know we're leaving out Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We're leaving out a lot of the big names, but these are the three names that are always put into it.
I would say LeBron one. Kobe. This is not fair. Kobe two, Jordan two, because I caught the tail end of Jordan. There were different time
But this
periods.
is an opinion. It's
Yeah,
not what everybody else sees it as. This is your opinion.
yeah. If I had caught Jordan's prime, it'd be Jordan one, LeBron two, and Kobe three.
For me, it will always be Michael Jordan. I
Yeah,
watched the guy come
and
into.
that's
I
fair.
watched him play at UNC. Well, I never went down there, but I saw him play UNC and then watched him do everything with the Bulls. I've watched LeBron. I've watched Kobe. I like Kobe better. LeBron, I'm going to say one thing. He's made me a decent amount of money in the baseball card business. That much we can say about LeBron. Look, am I going to say LeBron James isn't a NBA legend? No, he's just done it differently. That's all.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us here on the Six Man Up with me and Danny Boy Reginald. Just know that the next game will be against the Eastern Division rivals, the Boston Celtics. Um, please make sure you tune in next Tuesday for Dan and me to come in and talk to you again live on what the Knicks did. Be sure to check us out on the socials. Dan, where can they find us?
At Insanity Real, Facebook and X, sportscitynetwork.com, and all that stuff. Six men up, baby.
Yeah. Yep. And we will be live again Thursday night with Thursday Gridiron Report for the Dallas Detroit game, and then live Sunday morning for Sunday Sideline Report. For Danny Boy Reginald, Mark Oldop, Sky Halpern, want to thank you for coming in.